Hey, what is going on there, Guardians? Evade here and welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be pretty sweet because we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, including the last invitation of the 9 that reveals some pretty crazy stuff. We'll talk about things like the Darkness ships, the Drifter's plan, where the 9 are going, and much more.
And you know how life's not about light and dark, it's about survival. You gotta reckon with yourself now. When fate comes a-calling, will you give in and abide by the traveler's dogma? Will you beg the deep black for mercy? Or will you drift?
So let's first begin with last week's invitation of the 9, which will sort of set things up, we'll explain it a bit, and then we'll get into this week, which is the full meal and the emissary reveals a ton to the Drifter. So throughout the video I'll be playing different clips from the different invitations, some things the Drifter says, and then we'll analyze it all together afterwards. So here's the first invitation from 2 weeks ago, and then we'll get into the other information shortly after.
Hey, how you living, sister? What can old Drifter do for you today? Wanna play some Gambit?
The Dredgen has visions. They disturb him.
You know about those, huh? You the one causing them? Tell you right now, I don't appreciate what they say.
The gift is showing you what you must see. It is your fate.
No, I make my own choices.
If that is what you want to believe.
Freaking psycho.
So the emissary explains that the Drifter's been having these sort of visions through the gift, which we assume is the giant ship that was given to him in the first invitation of the 9 cutscene.
Accept this gift from the 9.
A gift? What gift?
He then says, no, I make my own choices, this stuff isn't going to happen just because it was a vision, it's not gonna become reality. Emissary kind of brushes it off and she's like, alright, if that's what you believe, have it your way. But whether the Drifter likes it or not, he has seen the wars ahead, both described in these visions and in some of the records he left in the Allegiance quest back a couple of months ago. He's seen what we call these pyramid or tetrahedron ships and the impending doom for humans, which he of course is trying to avoid with his own plans involving Gambit.
Speaking of which, the collapse wasn't the last extinction level event to hit humanity. Old Drifter's seen another one coming. Everything I'm building in the 9 realms is preparation. There's a few seats I'm saving. One of them is for you. If you want it.
And the Drifter isn't the only person that have seen this. Of course, we the player have seen it after Destiny 2's ending with that whole cutscene. But given the fact that our Guardian has visited the Queen's Court as well, those pyramid ships were floating there on the table. So not sure if in the story we actually know about that, or just because we're the player we've seen it if our Guardian knows, but it's interesting to think about for sure. So in the last invitation of the 9 cutscene, the emissary gives our Guardian a vision of the Drifter and his truth.
We have another truth to share with you. The Dredgen should have told you himself. But as always, fear keeps him from true potential. Please, open your mind.
Might just pull this scam off. And when the time comes, we'll finally be in the clear. A horse. Okay.
We have enjoyed watching you. We came to say farewell. Our attention is required elsewhere.
All right.
Thanks for the memories, you lunatic. Anything else I can do for you?
You're already doing it. Keep playing the game.
So the Drifter first begins by talking about his scam, that he might actually pull this off and that when the time comes, he might be in the clear. Now this scam he references is most likely Gambit and the Drifter's hope to save himself when the second collapse actually arrives, and maybe others as well, but it's obviously through Gambit. When you think of the Drifter and look at some of his lore, this is what he's been trying to do for, I don't know, hundreds of years to survive. He doesn't really care about the light or the dark. He's just doing what he can to get by, and hopefully everything will be okay in the end when the second collapse arrives. He then gets teleported to unknown space with the giant emissary and the horse. This of course is the area we visited each week during the invitations, and also Trials of the Nine if you played that when it existed. The emissary tells the Drifter that they've enjoyed looking over him for this amount of time, but they need to move on to bigger and better things and sort of deal with problems elsewhere. From that point, Drifter's like, alright, you need anything else or are we done here? And she says, continue this game of Gambit, it may help you in the long run, and then she drops this coin into his hand, revealing the Pyramid Darkness ships, like the one seen in last week's entry in the campaign's final cutscene. So there is more to this invitation. After you watch this cutscene, it'll teleport you back so you can pick up your reward, and the emissary will talk to you a little bit more, but we'll get back to that in a second, because if you visit the Drifter after this, he'll say this.
I told you not to look into the emissary, and you did it anyway. You know how many people I killed for less. Shut up. Don't answer that. I don't need the sass right now. I'm in over my head, kid. Emissary and her friends showed me what's coming, and it's what I feared all along. Put aside your dogma. A fight that's coming can't be won with light alone. Gambit's your salvation and mine. See you on the field.
So the Drifter again tells us of this coming war, and that the only way to stand against this threat is to continue Gambit and wield powers beyond the light alone. So let's jump back to the invitation. Where are the Nine going now? Are they going to assist Mara against this darkness, or do they seek to use its powers much like they blinded us of the Red Legion to acquire the light for themselves?
The night falls. Out there on the edge, your fate is a war unseen amid ruined fleets. Two women, feared, untrusted, forever at arm's length. Here at home, your fate is a coin in the hand of a liar. One man, afraid, untrustworthy, forever grasping. You must reckon with yourself. Can you see the path ahead? Do you know the shape of your trial?
The emissary tells us the same thing. Our fate is out there in that battle among ruined fleets, meaning that we still have a battle to come. She then says two women, feared, untrusted, forever at arm's length. Now this is tough, but once again this may have something to do with Mara Sov and Eris Morn, or Mara Sov and the Exo Stranger. The puzzling thing is the line at arm's length, which if you look it up means that they're sort of staying away from each other and sort of fighting or whatever from a distance, so it's kind of hard to tell. We know that Eris and the Queen have worked together in the past, so not sure if that would make any sense, but we also know that Mara's had a dream about the Exo Stranger, and maybe they were at arm's length in the past but have joined together to take on this next collapse. We've also seen the previous invitation mentioned an hourglass and a blade sharpened anew, so my best guess at this point is it could be Mara and the Exo Stranger Elsie Bray, but Bungie is always cloaking things in mysteries, and I want to hear your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Is this involved in characters we've known like Mara Sov, Eris, the Stranger, or someone else, or does it have to do with Savathun and her sister Xivu Arap?
Too late returning. How many? Hold position, kill the engines, and don't let them find you.
So much like Mara Sov has disappeared to take on this new threat, the Nine appear to have done the same thing as well, and we are left with our good old pal the Drifter, who tells us Gambit is the only way to make it out alive. He tells us that we can't depend solely on the light anymore, as it simply won't work. We need to adapt and change our legends. Now in the end, the Drifter is what he explains to us, a rogue light bearer that will use, yes, the light and possibly the dark, but doesn't really care for either side. He just wants to live.
Why did he do this?
He's afraid
Of death.
of everything.
So it kills.
He hates violence. He hates it so much that he'll murder anyone who tries to inflict it on him.
Now if you've been following along with Destiny 2's story over the last year or so, you'll see this sort of start to change our own Guardian. Things like Shin Malphur telling us that we can use the darkness or reach for those darker powers but not become corrupted by it. Us wielding those weapons of sorrow, turning towards the dark side a little bit more with the Drifter, and so on. But Guardians, that's all I got for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on the final invitation and what it might mean for our Guardian and the powers of the light and dark moving forward. The Drifter 9 and the Queen will have a role to play in the second collapse on the way, and it's definitely going to be exciting to see how all of this is going to unfold. If you'd like to see some more lore mysteries and videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.
But I didn't survive by being indecisive. Through every age and era, Drifter's done what he had to. The Warlords and the Iron Lords taught me that the light is no gift. It brought hell to Earth. And when we begged to die, it said hell no. They say the Dark Age was untold suffering. I could tell you a lot. Yeah, maybe next time.